Welcome to Let's Chat with Derick. I am your host, Derick Phage, and I am pleased to introduce today's guest. Her name is Diane Lanthier. She is an empowerment coach and an energy healer at Soul Restoration. Diane, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So nice to see you. It's been a long
I
time.
I know. I've been
Jeez.
on daytime a few times.
Yeah, exactly. Boy, I guess the last time we probably did an interview together was probably maybe 5 years ago, I would say. Four and a half, five
Yeah.
years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I was on like ages ago, like in 2007 or something, like a really long time ago. And then yeah, maybe like in 2015. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
And I think it's people like you that we need more than ever during, unprecedented times. We've never seen this before in our lifetime. So I just wanted to start with asking you how you and your family are dealing with things so far.
We're good. I also, on top of having two businesses, because I have the energy work. I have another business that's more in the crafting world. I also have a full-time job. So I'm still working. I'm working from home with that job. My husband's working from home. My child is living his best life. He's loving. He's happy to be home. He doesn't love doing homework, but
Yeah.
you know, mom and dad have to work, and he has to do a little bit every day. But no, it's good. I've actually never enjoyed walking outdoors as much as I do now.
Isn't it
I'm not.
wild? I think that
It,
if there's one thing that, that we can take away from this, and I'm sure for some people there's going to be more things to take away, but I think just an appreciation of the outdoors and of nature. That's Monica and I, we live in a great neighborhood where, we're right across the street from the river, so there's plenty of room for us to walk and keep social distancing. But what I have loved and what is so refreshing is everybody is asking each other, hey, how you doing? Hey, nice to see you. How you guys coping? Where, for some reason we didn't do that before. And I hope that's something that continues, once we get through all of this.
yeah, I mean, we tend to see that in those times of adversity, right? When everybody's affected. We've seen that in the last decade or two in other situations as well. I find so people time kind of get together. But yeah, we have a little wooded area up the street. So
Nice.
at lunchtime, I'll take my son out for a quick walk around the block, or just to get outside. Or on the weekends, we do a little bit of a longer walk in the woods. It's nice. I'm just not a walker. I'm not the type of person who, like, I need the destination. To just go for a walk aimlessly is just not my thing. But now it's almost this, I need it. I need to get outside, just because I'm not normally, when I go to work, I'm at least going out at lunchtime. I'm getting out to work and coming back, and all of that normal stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, we're in a neat neighborhood because we're in sort of New Edinburgh, Vanier area. So within that area, there's, Linden Lee and there's Rockcliffe. So we have so many different social economic levels, right, that we walk through. And it's just fascinating to see in this neighborhood how many different communities there are. It's just been wonderful to walk around and just enjoy, seeing, there's, a whole bunch of houses I'd never seen before. And
Yeah.
Monica and I are those types of people that, we're always shopping for a house, like we're on MLS just looking at homes, even if we're not buying a home. So just to walk your
Right.
neighborhood, it's been really fascinating. I want to talk a
Yeah.
little bit about what it is that you do, Diane. Tell us a little bit about what an empowerment coach is.
So I recently kind of chose that title for myself. You have to like come up with, like, what am I, to for people to sort of get it. I'm also an energy healer. So I use different energy healing tools as part of my how I work with people as an empowerment coach. I call myself an empowerment coach because my work usually centers around getting people back into their power, right? You
Okay.
hear like being grounded, being centered, but it's, for me, always comes back just sort of naturally. This is always the messaging that comes up, is being in your power, and that means not being in a victim mentality, right? So whether
Okay.
it's a mindset or a consciousness, right? This idea, we often talk about the uh, lack consciousness or abundance consciousness, right? It's that mindset of abundance. We talk about that a lot in law of attraction, like even in the mainstream. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing with victim versus, being a victim versus a creator, or being a passenger versus a driver, or, like to be real truly empowered. And what comes up for me all the time with when I'm working with clients and on my own stuff is that the moment you are feeling like a victim or you make other people victims, that's a disempowered state of being. It's a disempowered belief. It's, thinking that you're not in control when, from my point of view, we always are. And the law of attraction isn't just about good things. Oh, I want a new car, I'm going to manifest the new car. No, the idea is that you're always, always, always attracting. Like gravity just doesn't work when you want it to, right? It's the
Right.
law of gravity. The law of attraction is the same thing. You can't see it necessarily. If you're not looking for it, you won't see it. People will think of coincidences, right?
Right.
But it's always working. We're always creating. And so when you think of yourself as a victim of someone else, obviously we can all be victims of other people's actions, and I'm not talking about it from that perspective, but from the energy, from the mentality, the mindset of being a victim. When you see yourself as a victim, you're disempowering yourself because you're not allowing yourself to be in the driver's seat, right? You're thinking, well, somebody else is driving this car and I'm along for the ride. But you always have that possibility of being the driver. And I've been doing this work for over 20, like 15 years maybe. And it always happens that as people clear out and release through the energy tools that I use, those beliefs that they're not in control, what you shift into this is this natural sense of being in control, right?
Right.
All of a sudden there's like possibilities and opportunities where before something was impossible. Just the belief that something isn't possible, when you release that with the tools, you then all of a sudden are in this mindset or energy of, oh yeah, maybe this is possible. And I will hear people actually saying that in a session where one moment something is completely impossible, we do the clearing, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, but maybe this and maybe that, and all of a sudden it's like naturally, and it's not me saying you can do this and this and that. I mean,
Right.
sometimes I do have suggestion, but it's just because from my point of view, my belief is that we're energy, we're spiritual beings. You hear that a lot. We're spiritual beings in physical bodies. If you believe in that stuff, then it follows that if you are energy, if you are some spirit, or divine energy, or however you want to call it, piece of the universe, then that doesn't usually equate sadness and fear and disempowerment, right? Like if you're a
Right.
piece of the universe, if
Well,
you're
you seem all of
energy,
a sudden you feel greater than perhaps, you've ever felt before,
anything.
right? When you put it in that perspective.
Exactly. When you and so from my what I started learning EFT tapping, which I've spoken to you about. Like I think the first time I went on daytime, we talked about tapping.
Hmm.
And what and I'm also, like, I used to do readings, I'm also an intuitive, so it kind of all blends together. And my understanding of EFT has always been that all of the negative stuff that we feel, it's not that it's wrong to feel it. I mean, it's human, right? And it gives you information, but then you don't have to stay stuck in it. So sadness and
Right.
grief, fear, all of that stuff, you feel it, it gives you information, you learn from it, and then you can choose to clear it and get beyond it and get into a different space. And the reason for me that that works, the tool is really good, but also intrinsically at the core, you are that energy, you are that power. So all of the other stuff is just this crap that you've learned and internalized in your human form, right? As a human.
Right.
And when you're a child, you learn stuff from your parents. You're learning about life as a human through your parents or whoever's around you, your immediate circle. And so you're learning from them, you're learning their stuff, you're learning their points of views, you're learning their limitations and their beliefs, and then you're taking that on as yours. But is it really yours as an energy being, as a, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we're all passing down our stuff to the next generations, and then they're learning it. And so when you start unlearning what you've learned, or what you've even learned in your own life with relationships and things that have happened, when you unlearn that, when you unpack those beliefs that you have, what opens up is what's already sitting inside of you as that sort of energy being, which is being powerful, which is being at peace with whatever happens, which is joy, which is abundance, like all of those things, right?
Yeah. You
It's
truly
like,
find yourself, right? Because as you said,
absolutely.
when you're growing up, you've been influenced by all of these outside parties, right? Over your lifetime, you have to figure out who you truly are. That's what I'm understanding is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, and at the core, my belief is at the core for everybody, who you truly are is this really powerful, intuitive, uh, abundant being, right?
Right.
Joyful and peaceful. Like those are the things that are at your core. You just have to, when you unpack and release the crap that's sitting on top of that, like you don't go find it elsewhere. Nobody's going to give it to you. It's
Right.
sitting
I think
inside
many
of
of us
you.
believe that, though, right, Diane? Many of us sort of
Yeah.
sit in wait and say to ourselves, well, it'll come to me, right? But that's not the way it works. It's in you, and you just have to dig in there and find it. You mentioned, EFT tapping, and that's exactly what we did talk about the first time you were on Daytime. So that's a tool that you use. What is it exactly? Can you describe it to people?
Yeah, so it is akin to, it's often compared to acupuncture, because a lot of people know acupuncture, and acupuncture works with the meridian system. So the meridian system it's like veins carry blood and meridians carry energy. Although, I mean, energy is energy. It's not just contained in these meridians, but it's just a
Right.
way of explaining it. Acupuncturists know the meridian system inside and out. Each meridian is connected to physical things like the organs of the body. It's connected to emotions. It's even connected to the time of day. I had a book ages ago where this lady, who's a very well known in the energy healing community, mapped out the time zones for each meridian, and she said, if you want to avoid jet lag, like I don't remember the thing by heart, but I remember her saying, if you want to avoid jet lag as you're flying, across different time zones, you can just trace the meridians that are related to those time zones, and it will keep your body lined up with the time zone you're in, so that you're not still in the wrong time zone, your body, and have to go through the jet lag, which I thought was really interesting. I never tried it because I think I lent the
Yeah,
book out to
that's
somebody. And
that's really interesting. That'd be
yeah.
that'd be
So,
fascinating to try.
well, I'm sure she has, because she wrote it up in the book, right? She
Yeah.
says that this is a thing, and it makes sense when you understand energy and meridians and stuff. There's no reason why it would work. So with acupuncturists, they know the meridians inside and out, and they use the needles on different points. And then a lot of people know about chakras or have heard of chakras. Chakras are energy centers in that system of meridian. So
Right.
where EFT tapping comes in is we work with those energy meridians, but I don't need to know them inside and out. I don't need to know that this is this organ and all of that.
Right.
It's a quick series of tapping. So there's the side of the hand. There's you tap on points on the head, the torso, just a little bit. And when you're tuned into an issue, so you can be tuning into a feeling or a memory, and broken up into different pieces. And the idea is that a negative feeling is caused by a disruption in the energy system. People who know about Reiki and other energy healing modalities, we often talk about blockages in the energy system. So the
Right.
way EFT does it is by tapping on these points to clear the blockage in the energy system. That is, so you think of a negative memory, or you think of a memory, and it brings up this feeling. So when you think of the memory and you do the tapping, it clears the blockage that's creating the negative feeling.
Okay.
And that's the EFT sort of in a nutshell way of explaining
Now,
how
is
EFT
this Diane?
works.
Diane, this is something I know that you do with people, but can you learn to do it yourself?
Yeah,
To yourself?
yes, absolutely. I do it with yeah, I use it for myself all the time. That's my main sort of tool that I use. I have a few other things that I've picked up, in from different modalities, but
Right.
I will, I'll do it in the car. Like I don't care if people see me tapping on myself. Um,
That's because you're
you can
empowered
also,
and you're confident in yourself. You don't care what
yeah,
other people think.
yeah, most of the time, yeah. You can also even do it energetically. So you can imagine yourself tapping because it's just energy, right? You can
Right.
imagine yourself tapping on those points and clearing stuff up. And it really comes down to, again, when you go back to the conversation about power and empowerment, if you believe that you are a victim of someone or something, you're not going to have uh, the impetus to say, well, let me clear that then, right? Well, I'll
Right.
just get rid of that feeling. You feel stuck in that feeling. When you know differently, when you know that, okay, this thing really sucked, or this person was sucked, and you feel you don't feel good about it, I mean, you can stay not feeling good about it, but that's not going to create much more, right? You just stay stuck.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
say, okay, well, that feels bad, and why? And then learn a little something, or not, you can just be like, oh, that just felt bad, I don't feel like feeling bad right now. Then you can choose to clear it and use tools to do it, and that's being empowered. To
Yeah.
know that you change something or create something different is very, that's true empowerment, right? And it's not
Yeah.
just like in a good situation I can do this. No, it's like all the time, whatever's going on, to see. And so when I work with people, one of the things I love is, and we all need help. Like I get support as well, and
Oh,
I go to
yeah.
people
Absolutely.
the way I work because I can't do it all myself. But what I love is when I have clients who, in between sessions will take on the tapping themselves, and will like message me and be like, this is happening, how can I address it? Because I want people to learn to do it themselves. I want people to be empowered and think of themselves as these powerful beings who, wait, this doesn't feel good, or why am I choosing this, why is this happening, I want to create a better life, I want to create a better situation, how can I do that? And start working on themselves. And so my work is always empowering people to know, like, oh my God, this thing that has been stuck on me for 20 years that I've been thinking about and I've been feeling bad, all of a sudden it doesn't feel bad anymore. This is not affecting me anymore. So what else can I do with my life if this worked on this? Like
Yeah.
anything, and that's really, really my passion when I'm working with people.
Well, and it's the perfect time to perhaps learn something like this and how to do it for yourself and to yourself because, you mentioned lack of control, and that's something that a lot of people are probably feeling even more now, right, than they ever have before because we've never seen anything like this. And then we're being told, for our own safety, right, to isolate ourselves and, listening to experts and so forth and reliable sources, but that's still in itself, that lack of freedom. You've now lost a choice, right? So now you have to choose, I guess, to deal with it in a positive way, in the best way possible.
Yeah, exactly. And even if, yeah, I'm just thinking about what I can say and what I can't say. Because I take things to a much, I always go to this like bigger, more macro level, because I could say, for example, if you want to, think existentially and spiritually and energetically, I would suggest that the moment we buy, and I'm not saying the virus doesn't exist, I'm not saying all of this isn't existing, it's happening. But having said that, even when you have concrete things happening around you, even if it's a big thing like this, where it's this worldwide thing situation happening, or a small thing in your life, like you get a flat tire, it's a very real thing, right? It seems so real. But the moment you buy into that thing that's happening around you in the physical world, you're disempowering yourself at some level, right? So
Right.
what if so, and I've been saying from the beginning, people were going down the road of, well, this is going to last this much time, right? People are already
Right.
concluding in week 1 that we're going to be here in 6 months, where this is going to last forever. And I'm that's been the hard thing for me. And all of this, it's, the isolation. I'm a very social person. I want to see other people other
Yeah.
than just my family members. I
I
want
know
to
the
get out.
feeling.
I want to have that ability to go and hang out at Marshall's, or go pick up, like, that's difficult for me. But also all of the fear and the hysteria I find difficult, because I know there's just this other way of living and existing and dealing with things. So for me, that's a frustration that I have to work on,
Right.
because this, you know, instead of buying into the most negative, or this is the road we're going down and this is what's going to happen, why are we now like concluding and predicting what's going to happen, instead of being in your empowered space of, and I've said this for, since March 13th is the day that I started staying home, is step into that creative space. Like, everybody talks about the law of it, well, not everybody, but we talk about the law of attraction. Get into that creative mode, that visualization of what you would like to happen. For me, if that vision is getting back to work and having my normal daily routine, that's what I'm going to focus my visualization on, right?
Right.
Instead of being stuck in what's not going right, you want to focus on what you would like to see in your life. And that's always the case. You want to
And
be
what you
doing
can
that
and what you can
all
do
the time.
in the moment, right? I mean, you can also look at it as an opportunity, I guess. And I know not everybody wants to hear that, but some people just listen. I was in that space, right, where I didn't want advice. I didn't want to work on myself. I know it's a great opportunity. We're going to have those ebbs and flows. There's no doubt about that. But
I do too. Yeah.
yeah, but like for instance, my wife Monica, she's taking art lessons online right now. Like she's always had a passion for art, but she hasn't really had the time to do it, and now she's doing it. And again, after I went through sort of a difficult period, I started doing this, right? Interviewing people. What am I passionate about? I'm passionate about connecting with people. So then, I had to, switch my mindset and say, no, now I have an opportunity. I have all day, right? So I can
Yeah.
take half of my day and do interviews and then share them with people. And this is a way that we can have, sort of that human connection, and then hear from other people and hear how they're coping.
I think it's a brilliant thing that, like, again, I'm not ready. Yes, this is very particular. It's very big, and it's overwhelming. But at the same time, it's no different than any other situation from that sort of inner work point of view, right? From that, how do you cope with something? Like, again, I'm saying a flat tire, because I had one last summer, and I was like, oh, what do I do? And then I very quickly, I'm like, this is not to me. This is not going to create, this panic is not going to create. I know that I'm supported. I know that everything can be okay. So just, what's the next thing I do? And I did it. It actually got resolved really quickly and for free. My local garage fixed it. And it was like, it all worked out really, really well. And
Yeah.
that tends to happen in my life, right? Because I have that overall perspective. But I think it's brilliant to, even in this big situation, to be able to get back to that space of, okay, well, this pain, yes, it's normal to have those times, but when you stay stuck in it, like, you kind of shook yourself off and went, well, this doesn't feel good. This doesn't
Yeah.
create anything. So let me get into creative mode. And you went back to what you love to do. You're just
Hmm.
doing it in a different way, right? Like, I don't
Yeah.
think anybody is surprised to see you doing this. And I think I even suggested it to you. Like, you should,
Yeah.
like, a lot of people did, in fact. And so I think that's one of the great things that again, that's your power. You have the power to create out of any situation, or to just sort of stay in the dumps about it. That is not anybody else's. Nobody has that power. You have the ability to do that, and nobody can stop you from doing that, right? So that's just a beautiful place of empowerment to, you know, turn lemons into lemonade, right?
Yeah. I think you're in a great position too, where, you know, you can have this sort of coaching. You can do it virtually, you know, on Zoom or on Skype, whatever platform that people choose. So how do people get in touch with you if they're interested in doing a session, Diane?
I've been doing this for years over Zoom, right? I do it by
Yeah.
phone or Zoom, and a lot of times people think, well, how does it work? I like to be with the person to feel their energy. So that's totally the client liking, but it's, again, that's a limiting point of view, because energy work, this kind of stuff can be done virtually. I don't need to even see your face to do it. So it's more of a, but Zoom is great because you get to see the person and if they want that interaction. So my website is soulrestoration.ca.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook a lot. I'm on Instagram, but I use it more for my, like, my crafting life. So it's
Okay.
I don't really get Instagram very much. It's kind of annoying. I feel
That's
so
Twitter
old.
for me. That's Twitter for me. I can't get it. It just seems to be such a cesspool of negativity so often
Yeah,
on Twitter. I'm not on it too often.
and I don't like the interaction on Instagram as much as on Facebook. I find it's more interactive, more social, I find,
Yeah,
but
I
that,
agree. It's more
yeah,
you're able better to do storytelling, I find on Facebook as well. And, you know,
yeah.
of course, my YouTube channel, which everybody subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's just below here. And comment as well. Let us know what you think about this conversation. And, you know, maybe you have some tips, you know, and you're dealing in the energy healing world yourself. So let Diane know, you know, some of the things that you use as tools for yourself, and let the rest of us know. Diane, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, and it was nice to talk to you again.
Yeah, same here. Stay safe, okay?
Yeah,
All right, take care.
bye.